and welcome to my monthly wrap up where I talk about everything that went on in my life this month and all of the things that I did and used and saw. I will start with my life updates. So the month of July was a tough month for me. There was illness. There were a lot of dud dates. I am doing sort of a dating diary segment on my book channel where I talk about the dates that I go on. But I did learn a lot of lessons from it in terms of kind of behaviors that I will not be accepting as I go on. For instance, if someone takes more than 3 days to return a text every time, that person is not for me. Our communication styles do not align. And I've had to learn to not be so kind and forgiving in terms of that, to realize, hey, I've got a boundary here. I would expect that you would reply to my text within 3 days. And I'm sticking with that boundary. So I have learned a lot from my experience so far. Have not been lucky in finding the love of my life, but I'm along for the adventure. The biggest stressor for my life this month is a situation with my cat Willow. Unfortunately, after 10 weeks and 2 cat behaviorists trying all of these techniques and strategies to sort of hope for a reintegration, Willow is still very antagonistic towards 2 of my cats and aggressive, and will try and attack them on sight. So we've come to the point where I realize that my home is not the ideal home for her. She doesn't want to be in a multi-cat household, and I need to do what's best for her, even though it breaks my heart. And I can't talk a lot about it because this is something that is very upsetting for me. But yeah, we are in the process of finding the right person for her. And I'm just putting all my hope out there that she just finds the most amazing home, her forever home. And hopefully maybe they would even be open to just sending us pictures every now and again so we can see she's doing great. But that's where I'm headed with that. So I'm just trying to make the most of my time with Willow while we're still together. Besides that, I'm still working on an oracle deck. I'm up to the guidebook portion, and I don't like the guidebook portion. I will be completely honest. I am struggling with it. It's you think that I have all these ideas, but I can't translate them well. It turns out I'm not great at writing guidebooks. But I'm doing my best. This is just sort of a creative project endeavor. I wanted to see if I could, do a oracle deck, but it has not come out how I envisioned in my head. There is a lost in translation between what I see in here and what's come out. But I'm going to persevere and get it done, because I can't leave projects incomplete. I'm not that kind of person. I have to always finish what I start. Because of everything going on in my life, I'm feeling a bit unwell, I guess, in general. And I have decided that the month of August is going to be a reset month for me. I'm actually going to film it and take you along on me implementing some practices that I hope will calm my nervous system down and make me feel like myself again. So I'm looking forward to implementing those and hopefully having a better month and feeling energized. Now, on to the things I've watched. So for television, I've watched a lot this month actually, because I know Netflix was kicking everybody off, and I was on my dad's account. He's on my Disney account. Equal give and take, but I understand that's not the way it is. So I did watch the last season of The Witcher, and I thought it was good, and I'm sad because Henry's leaving, and Henry is that show pretty much. He's the one that sort of brought it to life. So I don't know how they're going to proceed without him, but I understand it was just a conflict of creative interests. Henry wanted to be truer to the video games and the books, and I think the writers wanted to go their own way, and it didn't work out for whatever reasons. I'm not sure how it will be next season, but I did enjoy watching it this season, and it was nice to finish it off because I don't know if I'll be continuing. I also watched Always Sunny in Philadelphia. It's a show that's not for everyone. It is dark, it is gross, it is not politically correct, so to speak, full of a bunch of a-holes who are narcissists and pretty much destroy everybody's lives they come into contact with. But I like it. It makes me laugh. And this season, the first episode or so I wasn't loving, but the last few have really felt like some of the original energy that they had, and I was enjoying it, especially when the McPoyles came back, because they are my favorite characters. I also watched a show called Survival of the Thickest. I thought this was a blast, guys. I was laughing a lot during this, and I really enjoyed it. I love the main actress. I've seen her in a few different things, and I've seen her comedy shows, and I like her. So probably was no surprise that I enjoyed her in this, but I thought it was really good and a fun time. And then I watched Nimona. So Nimona is kind of like a movie. It's based on a graphic novel, which I'd read and I really enjoyed. So I watched this one with my kids because it's based on a children's graphic novel. And it was even better than the graphic novel because you get to hear Nimona and it's brought to life, and you get to laugh at her sassiness and snarkiness and smartassery. And I thought it was a blast. It was really good. So if you've got kids, even my 8-year-old enjoyed it. I would highly recommend Nimona. In regards to movies, I watched The Outlaws, which was a Netflix movie about a couple who are getting married, and the man's fiance's parents are bank robbers, and he is a bank manager, and he gets caught up in the shenanigans. And it was funny. It's a popcorn movie, you know, it's entertaining, you'll have a giggle, it's lighthearted, and I did enjoy it. And then I watched a movie called The Machine, which is about Bert Kreischer, who's a comedian. It's a story that he used to tell on his comedy sets about this experience he had in Russia, and they've just expanded upon it. It's dumb, guys. It's dumb, but I still giggled. It was quite gory. I wasn't expecting so much violence and action. It was a lot more action violence packed than I was anticipating, but I still enjoyed it overall. And then we've got Barbie. So I saw this in person. You probably saw my review on here. I might have been a bit harsh in the review, but overall I did enjoy it. It's just I got too caught up in the messaging and I wasn't sure what they were trying to say. And I think I would have just enjoyed it more if I just not paid any attention to, but what do they mean by that? And just enjoyed it for its own sake, because visually beautiful, casting's amazing, set design, costume, all of that jazz was fantastic. Like I said, it was just sort of the sexism messaging and stuff. I wasn't quite sure. I didn't quite get it. And I was holding the Barbies to a high standard. I wanted the Barbies to be perfectly moral and ethical and not biased in any way, and not and to strive for equality. And that's not what the movie was. That's not how they were portrayed. And I should have just gone like, let it go. But I was just like, but the Barbies should be better. The Barbies should create a total equality in their land and have everybody be empowered and everybody have a voice and everybody have a vote. But that's just not how it was. But otherwise, like I said, it was a beautiful experience as well. I have to really highlight that. The energy of going with the audience. A lot of the women dressed in pink. A lot of the dudes were dressed up in all these fantastic Ken-like outfits. And that was a blast. I just had the best time in that regard. And I would be like, how amazing would it be if we all dressed up for the cinema in sort of a theme to match the movie? It'd be super cool. In terms of food, I made these amazing gingerbread choc chip cookies. So delicious, easy to make. I didn't make them as big as intended because I was taking them to someone's house. So I needed many to share, but they were really delicious, and I'll link the recipe down below. In my garden, we're getting a few winter blooms finally. So the red camellias have come out to play. Some more daffodils and jonquils are popping up here and there. My jasmine was flowering, which was lovely. I'm trying to get it to grow all around my bedroom window and the roof, which probably isn't great for the gutter system, but it'll look pretty and it'll smell lovely when I open my windows. It's been lovely to see a few of the blooms popping up in the winter time. In regards to purchases, I did buy this tarot spread book. I saw it on everybody's channel. So it was doing the rounds and I'm like, yeah, I want to give it a go, because the Spread Crafters deck did not work for me. So I just wanted to, like I said, not have to use my brain at all and have everything laid out for me, and this does that. So I've been making my way through this and enjoying it. I also got in my book subscription box this beauty. So it's The Sun in the Void. You've got sprayed edges. So they spray the edges, which I just absolutely love when they do that. And on the inside of the book, it's hardcover. You have a gold foiling front cover. That's what it looks like. And then on the inside, you have art on the pages. So that is something that I bought this month. I also bought the kids a bunch of books, but I'm not going to show those. But for me, the only thing that I've purchased for myself in terms of other items that are not tarot are books, these two books. So the best cafe that I went to this month was Outlaw. And it was also the cafe I had the best meal at. So I had a meatball sub on a brioche roll, and that was bloody delicious, and it was a generous portion, and I really enjoyed eating that. So that was definitely my favorite of this month. Oh, my Persephone tarot deck came in. So I'm going to, a few people wanted that, and a few people wanted the self-care deck. So I'm going to put all the files hopefully on Dropbox and upload them. And I'll put links on those pages. So on the Persephone, the Deathly Flowers tarot page and the self-care deck page, I'll have a link there now. So if you want to download the cards and print them yourself, you can. But I'll talk about crochet and then tarot because sometimes they overlap because I made a bag for the tarot deck. So I did a lot of crocheting this month. I made a coaster. This was in hedgehog fibers in the color Guppy. And I did the waistcoat stitch for this. And I love the waistcoat stitch, but I hate doing it. It's real tight and it hurts my hands. So I only do it for small things. I also am really going on a bender in terms of trying to get rid of all of my scrap yarn. So I've been doing blanket squares because I didn't enjoy doing the blanket that you can see on my bed line by line. It gets too heavy and just too overwhelming and burdensome. So I thought I'll just do a square and then put all the squares together. So the stitch that I've used for the squares is Jasmine Puff Stitch, which is not fun to do because you do have to have like 24 loops on your hook and then you have to pull it through all of them. And sometimes you lose one, and if you lose one, you have to start over again. So it's one that like has me screaming in frustration, but it looks so pretty and it's both sides is the same and it's very fluffy and lovely. So I am doing it for this blanket and eventually I'll have like a rainbow blanket of squares. So I did manage to bust down almost all of my scrap yarn with that, and I do also give my girlfriend a lot of my scrap yarn. Let's talk about the decks. So I have a Persephone deck I did a bag for, and I did it in waffle stitch, which look, I think they mostly use it for tea towels and I see why. I don't think it works well as a tarot bag, but it's in black wattle yarn in the color Siren. I also did a bag for the deck of symbols, and for some reason I don't have the information on here, so I will just have to type it up what yarn I used and what stitch that was for the deck of symbols bag. So the deck of symbols is also a deck that I got in this month. I somehow pre-ordered it, don't remember even doing that, but it was unexpectedly a fantastic reader. Even though I don't really resonate with the art style, the readings were amazing, and so therefore it's staying in my collection. I really enjoyed working with it. I also worked with the original Life Design deck. I'm not keeping that in my collection long term. It's sort of like as I work my way through it. It would definitely work, as I said in the video, using it as a self-care deck, or what should I do today? What practice should I implement? But I want most of my decks to be divinatory, and it didn't work for me in that aspect. Then we had the Rainshadow Tarot, which was from Kickstarter. I didn't love this and I just didn't connect with it. And I just felt like it wasn't for me. It just wasn't for me. So I will be moving that deck along. There was also the Healer's Dream Oracle, which I no longer have in my collection, which I just couldn't get a hang of it. It was a bit all over the place in terms of artwork, in terms of the guidebook and all that jazz. So I've already moved that one on. I also have the Botanical Inspirations, which was lovely. A lot of people really, really love this deck, but for me, the text heavy cards just annoyed me. I don't like seeing all of that text on there. It sort of doesn't, it's not calming for me visually. And the write-ups weren't extensive, so there was just nothing really compelling about it. Because I have so many botanical decks, like I said, it has to be really new and exciting and not like anything else I have, and this one was just middle of the road for me, and so I've decided not to keep that one. But yeah, I had so many people say, I love this deck, and that's amazing. Like, I can see why people do. It just, sometimes just things aren't for you, and this one wasn't for me. I also worked with the Creative Consciousness Healing deck. It's beautiful. I love the artwork. I'm not a fan of the card size and card stock, but I think this was a gorgeous healing deck in a theme which I love, which is mushrooms. Pretty much they featured heavily in this one. There was a cosmic element to it, and it's something that I'll keep in my collection if I ever need that kind of energy from it. It's not, I couldn't really use it as a divinatory deck. It really was just a healing practice and activity deck, and I've decided to keep it so I can do that in the future. So that is everything I think for this month, hopefully. My notes have not been organized as they usually are, and I think it's because of the hecticness of my life. But I hope that wherever you are having a stellar morning, afternoon, or evening. And as always, stay wild, Star Child.